like to call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Environmental and Energy Commission. Today is Monday, January 18th, 6:30 p.m. And let's see, who's going to be calling roll this evening?
That'll be me.
Okay. Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Yep. All right. Chair Wolf.
Here.
Commissioner Alt. Commissioner Cesaretti.
Here.
Commissioner Feinstein.
Here.
Commissioner Hout. Commissioner Muno.
Here.
And Commissioner Parkhill.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. First order of business is the approval of minutes of the December 17th meeting. First of all, are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, is there an order to approve, and we probably should do it by voice, just say I move, so moved, if someone would like to do that.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay, Commissioner Muno, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Cesaretti has second. All in favor, I guess we'll do another roll call, please.
Yeah, I do all. You do it individually. All right, Chair Wolf.
Aye.
Commissioner Cesaretti.
Aye.
Commissioner Feinstein.
You're muted, Joel.
I'm sorry. Aye.
Commissioner Muno.
Aye.
And Commissioner Park.
Aye.
Okay, it is unanimous. The minutes are approved. Next is the chair's report. I'm going to keep mine brief because I think we have a lot to report from other groups. I think the village staff has a lot to report. And one thing I just wanted to mention is I will be serving on a panel for a webinar that Go Green Wilmette is sponsoring on February 1st about Dark Skies Initiative, something I was interested in and wanted to learn more about it. So the person who is doing the webinar is, I forget his name, but he's an expert. Adam Kreutzer is his name. He's an expert and has done a webinar for Go Green Illinois, and he's agreed to do one for Go Green Wilmette. So I will be there as part of the panel to ask questions, learn more about it, and Go Green Wilmette, I think, can tell us a little bit more about it at the end of it, and they will be publicizing that for the general public. But I thought that was very interesting and very timely. So that's the main thing I have to report. I think staff has a number of things, so I will let you go on with that.
Okay, thank you, Julie. I can start us off. All right, guys, so just a couple things to address. First and foremost, so we are expecting 2 new commissioner appointments at the January 26th Village Board meeting. So the recommendations have been made, and the Village Board has been, or once the Village Board packet is posted, the recommendations and the memos will be there. So hopefully, you know, coming or after about mid-February, the first meeting in February, we should have 2 new commissioners appointed to the Environmental and Energy Commission. And actually, that being said, and I'll talk about it when we get to the initiative section of our meeting tonight. But basically, I know we've talked previously in our meetings that we are going to assign working groups and have these working groups kind of control, or not control, but be tasked with researching whatever the initiatives are that we've selected. And that being said, we are going to hold off on assigning working groups until we have these new 2 commissioner appointments. So once we get, you know, these appointments are approved and finalized, then we should be ready to start breaking up into working groups and start tackling some of the initiatives from there. Let's see, I know we'll talk about it later in the meeting, sustainability plan 2. I know we talked in previous meetings, January 15th is the deadline that village staff had to get back feedback and review. So that being said, I have received some feedback for a draft sustainability plan from some village staff. There's a couple parties that haven't responded yet, but I'll follow up with them and make sure that as I get updated sections of the draft sustainability plan, I'll incorporate their feedback, their review, and make sure that, you know, all commissioners are sent updated sections or updated chapters of the draft sustainability plan. So just kind of be on the lookout for, you know, emails from me in the coming weeks. And, you know, we'll make sure that, you know, that the next time we meet, if we start to talk about these draft sustainability plan updates, that all of you guys will have been given those updates. So that's all for now. I'll talk further when we get to later portions of the meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. So we'll move on to Roman numeral 5 on the agenda, sustainability plan update. Just to follow up on what Alex was talking about, we discussed and thought about this. I had a very helpful conversation with Linda Kurtz, who had been on the EEC when they were doing the coal tar sealant studying. And it was very useful because I said, how did you study it and get all the work done that you did that ended up in the village adopting a coal tar sealant ban? Because they had all kinds of information about economic impact and biological and scientific and practical things like does it work and things like that. And she said they had done working groups because with the Open Meetings Act, we can discuss anything as a commission, but we have to give notice, make it accessible and all that. But with working groups, if you have just 2 commissioners, they can talk to each other in any way that works. If you have more than that, they could communicate through staff. But it's just a way to, I think, do some more study and make some recommendations in order to get some of this stuff implemented, because I think there are some things we've been looking at that wouldn't really take that much, as we discussed last time, some recommendations that would be fairly easy to implement, and some other things that are pending, like the bike and transportation, bike and active transportation plan that really is pending and is very likely to be adopted. So that said, I wanted to mention also that Go Green Wilmette has a number of people who are interested in working with the working groups, people who are subject matter experts. So once that happens, they would like to participate. And what we thought we would do is once the new commissioners are on board, Alex will circulate something to everyone and you can rank in order of preference the working groups you'd like to work on so that we can match people with an area that has their interest in their area of expertise and then move forward from there. And then also, if you read in the materials, in discussing with village manager Mike Raymond and with Alex Arteaga, what we thought would be the best way to really get stuff moving is for the working groups to recommend several ways to move forward, not just do this, but here are some ways to address this issue. You could look at doing this or change this ordinance in this way, just some various specific options. And I think that gives us a really, first of all, a good idea of how to address things going forward and how to actually get things underway and get some things accomplished. And then I also wanted to thank Bill Muno for his thoughtful memo about future things. We've identified some key things to look at first, but the village board has only so much bandwidth. They can't look at everything in the world. So some things that we already have some momentum on and that there's some interest in right now, namely the green energy. I think there's a lot of momentum and options, like there are so many solar things coming up, and the whole urban forestry thing, there's already been some work and there's some interest. And if you noticed in the memo that was sent out, the land use committee of the village board is going to be looking at that in the first quarter. And what the plan is for them to look at it and make a recommendation from a land use point of view, but then to run it by the EEC to overlay biological considerations, all kinds of things from native habitat to species preferences to perhaps some other forestry management, and looking at what some other municipalities have done. So that's just some background information on that. And I think that is a very positive development, because I think the land use committee would be in a position to make some specific recommendations to the village board. And then we would have an opportunity to overlay that with some additional considerations. And then the third one, in discussing it, we thought that the pollinators and dark skies really goes together because it's pollinator protection. So those for starting out, I think will be good. With gas-powered leaf blowers, it's my understanding, and Alex, if you can amplify on this, that would be great. It's my understanding that there will be a part-time employee, of forestry or engineering and public works, some department next summer to work on enforcement of the gas-powered leaf blower ban. And Alex, if you have any amplification on that.
Yeah, I believe, I actually think it would be a new staff member of the Community Development Department. But yeah, so they are looking at adding a part-time position that would basically be revolving around enforcement of the temporary, or not the temporary, but the seasonal leaf blower ban. So like I said, we've had issues with, well, basically enforcing the current ordinance, this current seasonal ban on lawn care equipment. So we are hoping that, with the addition of this part-time position, that enforcement will become easier. And then once we, I guess once we have some time under our belt of what it looks like of being able to enforce the actual current ordinance, then we can see from there what modifications or revisions we think might be necessary as a commission moving forward.
Okay, that sounds good. So what we were thinking is the first round will be looking at the three things we just discussed: the green energy, the forestry practices, and the pollinator enhancement. And then we have waiting in the wings, our next tier, which would be gas-powered leaf blowers a little down the road once we've seen how all of that has worked out with increased enforcement. And then the other suggestions made by Bill, which I am so grateful for, because I think it makes us check every box with the GRC2 so that we're covering each of the bases. And those would be the things outlined in his memo. Look at the village's website, and Alex is the point person for that. So I think as we study this, things will naturally come about that will be added to that. And I think that'll be straightforward. But this way we're, again, making sure we're covering every base with GRC2.
Julie, if I just might make a quick comment. I put a couple of items on that list, particularly the bike and transportation plan and the stormwater project, as things that are essentially, I guess for want of a better term, kind of low-hanging fruit. That this is work that's already underway, and we could sort of take credit in terms of, Wilmette implementing GRC related programs. I mean, I didn't anticipate that the EEC would have to do a lot of work on this, but it would be nice in terms of having, ultimately the village board endorse activities under the GRC to kind of add these to the list because they're ongoing activities. In other words, take credit for what you're already doing. That was sort of a little bit of my thinking.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'm assuming that we're kind of the keepers of the GRC2 checklists. And so I think that makes sense. The other thing is with the plan with the land use committee, because of a couple things that came up about tree preservation, they were planning to look at that anyway. And with the plan in place, that we'll look at it later. I like establishing the precedent that if there's a need for us to review something, we're here to do that. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So we're following the progress of the GRC2. And again, especially the stormwater things and the master bike and transportation plan, as Bill was saying, are things that are well underway. And we're just, keeping an eye on them and slotting them into their places.
Yes, and I don't know ultimately what the administrative committee and then ultimately the board would sort of, what their resolution or approval would look like. But to the degree that those things that are underway could be incorporated, I think that gives Wilmette kind of a more proactive approach to addressing, the GRC activities. So again, I don't know how this ultimately works out. In terms of what the real work that we have to do, I agree that probably the first three on your list are ones that do need more work by the EEC, but on the other hand, let's not lose sight of work that Wilmette has already started and take credit for what we're already doing.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or comments on that from other commissioners?
Yeah, I think Alex took that item off of the agenda about the Transportation Commission, and so I'm not sure if you want to address that, Alex, whether because it really wasn't our committee, it was a different commission, right?
Yep, so the master bike and active transportation plan, I know we discussed it previous meetings. And just because, I mean, you know, ultimately the EC had no involvement in terms of actually drafting that plan. And I know we had a couple commissioners review it. So village leadership just thought that it might seem inconsequential and kind of just not necessarily, well, revolving around EEC workings for the time being. So even though, since it's already gone through transportation plan, since it's already gone through the Transportation Commission, it's already received plenty of public feedback, and it's going to the village board in February. So it was just kind of a late addition onto our agenda of items when it's already, you know, saw plenty of public feedback and is already going to be moved on next month. So it was just looked at as kind of being an unnecessary agenda item for the EC. And Commissioner Muno, to kind of piggyback off of what you were mentioning, I think you're right. I think the village website, the hub of information we have for green initiatives and for sustainability initiatives, I think we could do a better job of basically articulating what the village is already doing and finding ways to tie that to our draft sustainability plan or to things that the EC has done in the past. So just making that, you know, we may have not had direct involvement with the master bike and active transportation plan, but we do address the master bike and active transportation plan in chapters, you know, 6 or 7 of our draft sustainability plan. So I agree that I think having that cross of, you know, basically just any general green sustainable initiatives that are going on in the village and making sure that's accounted for on, you know, the GRC portions of our website.
All right, very good.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Yeah, I feel like we're really doing well with, you know, having a plan for how to move forward with all of this. So that is really about it for.
Just had one thought, Julie. If I was curious about the working groups and, you know, the members, the participants in the working groups and the various ones. Is the staff going to participate potentially with the working groups? I was in particular curious about the green initiatives and the potential for the village to actually, like you had done with the streetlights initiatives and you know, coordinating to get more solar to serve that. It seems like that's a big part of the, you know, GRC goals, is having the actual village go faster down the clean energy sort of path. So just getting feedback from staff to help that, make that happen is, I think, going to be really helpful.
Yes, I agree. And it's my understanding that, yes, staff would be involved. So yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so I would like to turn everyone's attention, if you have not already looked at the draft that was circulated for how the sustainability plan might look. Kate Amoroso put that together for us. And just to give an idea of how it would look with some of the pictures and the overall look of it, I was just very pleased with, you know, seeing what that might look like.
Yeah, I just used some stock photos that I had on hand, and then the actual copy in the draft plan is from the draft sustainability plan. And it's meant to be viewed as like a booklet, so with just a cover page and then layout. So yeah, I mean, I tried to kind of break it up with photos and in different sections, you know, to kind of make it a little bit more accessible to the public. I think that, you know, as you're going through the final drafts of your sections, if you could start thinking about certain, you know, paragraphs or figures that could be represented graphically or with photos instead of just text. I think it would help break it up a little bit and make it a little bit more digestible. So just be thinking about that when you're doing your final edits. I did that on page, well, it's page 15 of our packet and page 7 of the actual sustainability plan, the draft sustainability plan. The existing conditions of all the different business corridors in town, that was originally just a bullet point list, and you know, stuff like that could be more effectively shown, you know, with pictures or with graphics.
Okay, yeah, I think that's great.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
so as a first cut, it was pretty impressive in terms of doing some real graphic type editing of the report rather than just having it be, black and white report. So
Yes,
well
Kate.
done.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, April, did you have a comment?
Okay. Kate, I definitely think you're down the right track. I I think the aesthetics of it is really pleasing to the eye. And I really like how you have different font sizes and, the pictures in it and everything. I think it looks really great.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. And this would ultimately be something that would then be put on the website. And as someone was saying, instead of just black and white, it'll be, some nice graphics. Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, if there are no more comments, again, this has been a brief meeting just to kind of outline our approach going forward, which I think we're on a really good track for. So if there are no more comments from commissioners, we would entertain some public comment.
Okay, and I will help facilitate public comments. Let me just check real quick. We did not receive any emails at our publiccomment@wilmette.com email address, and there are no public comments made on YouTube as of now. I do believe we do have a couple members of this call that are outside of the commission. So let's see, 1, 2. Looks like we have about 3 or 4 members of the public here. If you would like to speak, feel free to to speak up. And Linda, I can see you using the emoji already. So why don't the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Alex. I don't have much to say, but to thank you all for the great work that you're doing. And I love the new look too, with the pictures and things. I think that's great. So a couple things I wanted to share. Julie had mentioned the Dark Skies program. If you're interested in attending that, please go to the Go Green Wilmette website to find out more for a link on it. It is February 1st and, promises to be really informative and informational. So I think encourage you all to attend that if you can. The other thing I wanted to share with all of you is that Go Green Wilmette has been asked via Beth Drucker to participate in the Wilmette 150-year birthday celebration committee. And so, we're very excited about that. I think that one of the things that, Go Green Wilmette would like to do is to bring a big idea, which I believe the committee is looking for. What are the big things that the village can celebrate and recognize or maybe even do? So, if anyone has any ideas, either figure out who a representative is on the commission or, feel free to funnel that through Go Green Wilmette. So again, all I have to say, except, looking forward to helping out with any of the initiatives and the working groups that develop. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. And just so we know, I am actually one of the staff liaisons for the Sesquicentennial Planning Committee as well. So I'm helping out Lisa Roberts with that committee. So if there are any ideas in terms of, any EEC ideas that you would like to throw for the Sesquicentennial Planning Committee, just let me know and I can forward it. So happy to help, serve both this commission and that committee as necessary.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I'm seeing Elise Steiner is using the emoji. Elise, the floor is yours.
Yes. Hi, everybody. This is the first meeting that I've attended, so thank you and thanks for all of the work that everybody's doing. I'm a resident of Wilmette and I worked at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in the Office of Air and Radiation at headquarters in Washington, D.C. on Obama's Clean Power Plan before coming to Wilmette, and I currently work at Walgreens managing their energy supply for all retail locations across the country. And so I just wanted to identify myself as a resource. I'm interested in the working group, in a working group on energy or climate change, and reviewing, a draft of the sustainability plan when it's available.
Elise, this is Bill Bueno. I'd like to welcome you to the commission. I worked at EPA Region 5 for 31 years, so we're both EPA alums.
There's an actual alumni association. I don't know if you're a member of it. If you're interested.
I am.
Okay.
Well, Elise, if you've not already, if you're interested, talent-based questionnaires, the document that you need to fill out in order to be appointed to a commission is available on the village website. So I'm not sure if you've done that already, but feel free to fill out a TBQ, and we'd be happy to work with you as we can in the future.
Thank you.
Great. And
And
thank you very much for your interest and for being here tonight. That's great.
And Elise, I also want to mention that while we didn't have a version of the draft sustainability plan in this meeting's packet, if you go on our website, the archive for, I think, just last meeting, it would have the full draft of the sustainability plan that went to staff. So you would be able to take a look at that. It wouldn't have staff comments yet. That'll come later, but that's the most recent one that was published.
Okay, I'll go back and look. Thank you.
Okay, good. Let's see.
And I'm not seeing, let's see, I'm not seeing any other, emojis asking to speak. I believe there are 2 guests outside of the commission are part of the call. Justin Shepard or Pamela Laurie, if either of you guys have a public comment to make, feel free.
Hi, this is Justin Shepard. I just logged in to learn. Thank you very much for everything that everyone does here on the EAC in terms of working to a sustainability plan and thinking of these issues for us. I happen to be running for village trustee, so wanted to make sure I learned about these things straight from the source. So appreciate everything that everyone here does.
Great. Thanks for being here tonight. Okay. It looks like that's the extent of our public comment. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. And if someone wants to do that, they can just say so moved.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, and is there a second?
A second.
Second.
Okay. Okay, and Kate, can you call the roll for us, please?
Chair
On the
Wolf?
motion to adjourn.
Chair Wolf?
Aye.
Commissioner Cesaretti?
Aye.
Commissioner Feinstein?
Aye.
Commissioner Muno?
Aye.
And Commissioner Parkhill.
Hi.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Stay well, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Great.
Okay.
Well,
Good night, everyone.
Happy New Year.